Okay, let's try that again. Talk about epic fail. You call technology letting you down. Oh my days. That is so embarrassing and so annoying because I was talking so much. I didn't realize how far I'd gone on and you guys were no longer there. It's only when I looked at the comment section and I couldn't add anything to the comments. And then I realized, oh wait, actually the live is paused and nobody can hear what I'm saying. And so I've gone back now and I've looked at the live stream finally, and then I've seen that none of what I was saying was even being recorded. Very, very annoying. I told quite a bit of the story, so now I'm gonna have to go all the way back to the beginning and tell the story again. So sorry about that, guys. Technology let me down big time, but I was determined to make it happen. I was like, no, I'm coming back and I'm going to tell my story. So annoyed by it. Oh, YouTube let me down. I don't even know if it's YouTube or my internet. I don't know what was happening there, but yeah, that technology was really, really failing me. But I was like, no, we're still gonna have this conversation. So hopefully some of you guys will be able to come back and join me and I can talk about how I was able to pay off £36,000 worth of debt and just talk a bit more about my debt story. So if you was here on the first one or part one, which I'll probably link in the description box below actually for those that are watching it on replay, no problem. I was wondering where you were. Yeah. Oh hey, Elliot. Ella. Sorry, I said Ellie. Hi, Ella. Thank you. Yeah, no, it just was not working out. I don't understand. And I ended it my side, and I was trying to go back onto YouTube, and then it was saying that I was still live, and I was trying to start a new live, but it was saying I was still live, and I couldn't end that live, and I was like, what is going on? And it's taken what nearly 40 minutes or 30 minutes to get it sorted. So guys, I should get a thumbs up for the effort and for not giving up and the resilience because yeah, right now I'm sweating buckets because that was stressful. But hey, we're back. We're here together again. We can continue. Life goes on. As my niece and nephew like to say, we move. So with that being said, anyway, for those that are tuning in for the first time, what I really wanted to do in this video is talk a little bit about my own personal debt story, how I was able to pay off debt and the steps that we took to pay off debt, and talk about, I had a few discussion points actually, but that live throwing me out has kind of thrown me off script. So let me just quickly refer back to my notes and make sure I cover everything. In fact, I don't even need to for the beginning because I know the first part was to talk more about my debt story and how we kind of ended up in debt. I know I've talked about it at length on my channel before. So in the description box below, actually, there's a link to the video where I explain all about how we got into debt. But I appreciate not everyone's going to go and watch that video. So for the benefits of those are just watching for the first time, I'll tell you a little bit about my debt story, and then I'll go into what I learned when I was in debt and things that I wish I knew when I was in debt as well. Thanks, thanks, Yvonne. Yes, we definitely move. Gosh, this, you see why I say I don't like doing lives? If this was pre-edited, nothing like this could have ever happened to me. But hey ho, it's part of life. I guess no one's perfect. Things happen. We just have to get on with it. So yeah, with that being said, just a bit about my story. So my story of debt, or how I got into £36,000 of debt, kind of started back in 2016 when we were buying our first property. So we had saved up all the money we needed for our deposit, for surveyor fees, for stamp duty, all those costs that you don't realize go into buying a house. All of those costs, we had it all covered at the time, so we were ready to go, and we had put in an offer for the property that we wanted. Offer was accepted, everything was looking great. We're like, yes, finally we're going to buy our first house. Everyone was happy, everyone was excited. And then basically between when we decided to buy the house and when we got the house, it was a whole year. And that's because there was a lot of issues with the former house owners, the people that were selling to us. They had a lot of problems, and yeah, there was just a lot of issues before we were able to finally exchange and complete. And during that course of time, a lot went wrong with the property. Like literally, they trashed the place. Like the kitchen roof was caving in. It was a mess basically, and we needed to do a lot of work to the house. But that wasn't something we had budgeted for. So that's where the debt journey kind of began, or when we first started getting ourselves into quite a bit of debt. Because what we did is we took out a refurbishment loan, and then we subsequently took out a second loan because the first loan wasn't enough, and then our expenses just kind of spiraled out of control, because when we took out those loans, we had a master plan as to how we were going to make those loan payments. In addition to the mortgage, we were going to get tenants in to rent out the spare rooms, and then we were going to get tenants to rent out those spare rooms, and that would cover the cost of the loan. So then we would only have to pay for the mortgage. But what ended up happening is we weren't able to get the tenants, and we weren't able to rent out those 2 extra rooms. And we weren't able to have that extra £900 or whatever it was income that we thought we were going to get at that time. And then in addition to that, I went on maternity leave. And so yeah, our expenses and everything were just spiraling out of control. And then on top of that, I was pregnant with my second son. So I then went on maternity leave. So then we're down from two incomes to one income, and we don't have that extra money coming in from these people that we were going to rent out the rooms to. So that's kind of how things. Oh my gosh, I'm sure I said I cancelled that. Sorry, I was supposed to be on another live at 8. Yeah, things have just not gone according to plan this evening. But anyway, as I was saying, we're all still here. You guys are still with me, yeah? Just making sure this thing hasn't cut me off. I don't want to keep talking, just to find that nobody's even hearing what I'm saying. So let me know, thumbs up if you guys are still with me. You guys can still hear the story. But yeah, so fast forward now, we've taken out all these loans, and if you'd think that it being in that kind of position that we would kind of take like kind of relax and not spend so much money, but in fact it was the opposite, because it's like we were already in a deep hole. We kind of just kept on digging that hole deeper for ourselves. So we were spending a lot of money, we were shopping, we were going on holidays, and we just ended up deep in debt. And that's kind of how we ended up in a lot of debt. And we didn't realize how much debt we were in until much later on, when we decided to address our debt situation. And then we found out about Dave Ramsey and his baby steps to achieving debt freedom. And we kind of followed the baby steps. And that's how we were able to subsequently pay off our debt. I go into it in a lot more detail in my new ebook, which is available for purchase actually via the link in the description box below. And it's basically talks a bit more about my debt journey and how we were able to pay it off. So all the steps that we took to pay off the debt is in that ebook. But in today's video, actually, what I wanted to do is talk to you about a few of the things that I learned on my debt journey. So I'm going to my phone, that's why I'm not looking at you guys. So I'm looking at the notes and the things that I wanted to talk about. So obviously I said I wanted to talk about my debt journey, and that is a bit of a shortened version of my story of how I ended up in so much debt. And I know everybody has a different story when it comes to debt. Like everyone's experience is different, but yeah, somehow, some way, a lot of people end up in debt. And I think it's just important to kind of have these conversations so that people realize that, okay, I'm not the only person in this position. Other people have done similar things to me. I'm not the only person that's made a mess of my finances, because I know at the time when you're in debt and you have all of that hanging over your head, you feel like, oh my gosh, it's only me, woe is me, I messed up, and all of I'm a failure, and all of those thoughts kind of plague your mind when you're in debt. And that's why I've made it my mission to share my story as much as I can, and give other people platforms to share their stories too, and just really share the fact that there is light at the end of oh gosh, look at me getting tongue tied. Share the fact that there is light at the end of the tunnel, and just because you're in debt now doesn't mean that you're going to be in debt forever. Like, you can actually get through it. Like, it's not going to be easy, let me not lie to you. It definitely wasn't the easiest 2 years of my life, but it's definitely worth it when you come through the other side. So that's just basically my word of encouragement to anybody that's listening in live or watching it back later on replay. Just, debt awareness week, I was like, no, I need to kind of share my story, give other people platforms to share their story too, and just really shed light on the fact that debt is something that so many of us go through. It's nothing to be ashamed of. It's nothing to feel like, I can't do anything about. You can do something about it, but inactivity and not doing something about it is probably the worst thing that you could do. So yeah, just be encouraged. And if you need any assistance, or you just want to talk to somebody, because that's the thing, when you're in debt, it is so isolating, like I mentioned previously. So if you do just want to have a chat, my DMs on Instagram are literally always open. I speak to lots of people in my DMs, and I'm happy to speak to you too. So yeah, slide in my DMs and we can have a conversation. The link to my Instagram is actually in the description box below. So yeah, you can definitely drop me a message. And so other thing that I wanted to talk about, actually, in case you guys, if you don't have any questions or comments or anything, is things I wish I knew when I was in debt. So I was having to think about this before going live, and like before obviously having a session with you guys. And I was like, what kind of things would I wish I knew back when I was in debt and kind of wanting to embark on a debt-free journey? Because I think it's important now that I have hindsight to kind of share that information with other people in similar positions, so that they can be like, okay, this is where I am now. That's information that can be useful to me. Whereas, I didn't have that information back then, and I didn't have anyone to give me that information. So hopefully you find it useful and you take something from it. And of course, if any of it doesn't make sense, if you have any questions or comments about what I'm saying, then definitely just chime in and be like, I'm Tolu, I don't get that, or Tolu, yeah, that makes sense. Just, that'd be fine. Anything you guys want to add, free to add it. And we'll just keep the conversation flowing. I'm conscious of time, because obviously 7 to 8 was supposed to be my slot, and I've come back just before 8. So I'm not going to talk for too long. There was a few other areas that I wanted to cover, but what I'll probably do is either save it for another live or do a video on it separately. So in this video or in this live, what I'll do is I'll talk about the things I wish I knew when I was in debt, And then the next topic that I had was things I learned while I was in debt. So I think I'll save that for the next live, depending on how long takes me to kind of get through the points that I have for the first topic. Because, yeah, as you can see, I talk a lot and I have quite a few points. So I think the first point that I'll note down actually was that I wish I knew that we weren't alone and that there's help available. So that is something I actually didn't know back then when we were in debt. Like I just genuinely didn't know that there were services out there, that there were resources that you can use to kind of help you on your debt-free journey. So things like Step Change, the charity that I mentioned earlier on the live before we were cut off, they're a debt relief charity, and there's literally advisors on there that don't charge you a penny, that are willing to listen to your situation specifically, find out what your situation is, and help you come up with a plan and a solution and a strategy in order to now start paying off that debt. Those kind of things I wasn't privy to. I didn't even know that that was a thing, that there were these charities available. And Step Change aren't the only one. There's so many of them in the UK that offer these kind of services. So it's like, if you are in debt, don't feel like it's just me and there's nobody that can help me. Like my situation is beyond help, because it's not. Like literally, there are people that will listen to you and people that will actually help you on your debt free journey, or to even get started on your debt free journey. So that's something that I wish I knew, because yeah, we kind of just did it on our own, thanks to the fact that we found Dave Ramsey, and I guess he was kind of like our Step Change equivalent. But it would have been good to know that there's actually services here in the UK that we could have definitely benefited from and taken advantage of. So that was definitely something I wish I knew. Another thing is about the fact that you could actually speak to your creditors, like the people that you owe money to, and actually set up arrangement plans and set up things that you can do with them. Like I genuinely didn't know that that was a thing that you could, like, when I used to get those red letters, or I'll get those letters saying you owe X amount of money, you have to pay by this date, I just took that as verbatim. It needs to be done because that's what they've said. But actually, no, you can actually speak to them. You can actually set up payment plans. You can even delay payments if your circumstances are very extreme. Like there's things that you can do, ways around it, so that you don't feel overwhelmed by the debt and you don't have to just try and tackle it all at the same time if physically, financially you can't do it. And charities like Step Change are amazing for that, helping you deal with creditors and things like that. Yes, and I said, Step Change really helped me when I was in debt. Yeah, they listen and they're not judgmental, and they talk to your debtors for you. Exactly, that's literally what I was just saying. Yeah, exactly, amazing. So those services are out there, so definitely take advantage of them, and just don't suffer in silence, and don't think that it's just me and that's it, I have to deal with this by myself. No, there's people that genuinely are willing to help, genuinely have a heart to help, and they won't judge you. Like Ella was just saying, they won't judge you. They're really going to be there for you. They're really going to help you. Why is it restarting when I slam on it? Sorry, I'm reading another notification. Okay, so moving on. Next thing I've got is oh, okay, yes. So another thing I wish I knew was that going without would be so worth it. So when we were in debt, a big part of why the debt just kept on getting bigger and kept on creeping out of control was because we weren't able to kind of say no. We weren't able to say no and not do things, but we didn't really realize the impact of actually saying no, how impactful it could be to our finances and how much it could help us to get out of debt. Because at the time, we were just thinking, if we don't do this, we're going to miss out. But actually, no, missing out isn't that big a deal. It doesn't even compare to the feeling of becoming debt free. So all those small sacrifices that you're making on that debt free journey, it's nothing in comparison to what you're going to have on the other side when you get out of it. But I think at the time, there were times when going without felt like, oh my gosh, this is suffering. Like, it's not every day I want to eat rice and beans. Like, sometimes I actually want to eat meat with my meal. But doing that for a period of time and realizing that it's actually just a season, that I'm not going to be doing this forever, I'm not going to be living this way forever, it was really good to know that actually there's light at the end of the tunnel. And actually, when I come out on the other side, things will look a lot better. And all of that going without for so long and sacrificing, not going to the hairdressers every month, or not getting my nails done every 2 weeks, all of those sacrifices in the long run ended up being worth it, because it was like, actually, no, going without really meant that now I'm able to do the things that I wanted to do before without that stress, without that anxiety, and without all the overwhelm that comes with being in debt. So yeah, that definitely is something that I wish I knew when I was in debt, because at the time it didn't seem like this is worth it. It just felt like sacrifice, sacrifice, sacrifice. Like, am I ever going to be able to enjoy my life again? But it is worth it, making those sacrifices in the short term. Like they say, short term pain for a long term gain. And at the time, it might feel like this is not short term, this is long term. But in the grand scheme of life, it's not a long time. Whether it takes you 2 years, 3 years, 5 years. 5 years out of your whole life is still not a long time. It's better to take those 5 years and pay off that debt. And then beyond those 5 years, you have so much more of your life where you're living debt free, without the anxiety, without the stress, without people knocking on your doors every other day trying to chase payments. So yeah, it's definitely worth it going without for the long run. Um, Gosh, I'm just talking. Let me just take a sip of water. My mouth gets dry. Okay. The next one I've got, the next thing on my list is, okay, yeah, this is something I didn't realize as well, actually, that getting out of debt will take as little time as it took. So I think what ends up happening is when you're on a debt-free journey is that you think it's going to take you a long time. So you plan for it to take, let's say, 3 years or 5 years, whatever the length of time, depending on how much you owe. You're thinking, oh, it's going to take me 5 years to do it. But actually, when you start doing it and you start aggressively tackling that debt and you start seeing the numbers come down, you're even more motivated to like find more money in the budget and start making extra money to accelerate those debt repayments. And then all of a sudden it starts to snowball. And before you know it, the debt that you thought was going to take you 5 years to clear, you've cleared it within three. And that's something I didn't realize at the time. But obviously looking back, it's like, oh, actually, it happened a lot quicker than we had anticipated, which I'm very thankful to God for. But yeah, that's something that I wish I knew when I was in debt, because if I knew that we could have done it within a couple of years, maybe it wouldn't have taken so long to even start the debt-free journey in the first place. But at the beginning, before you're starting, you're thinking this is going to take forever. Like, I'm never going to get off this debt. But once you get started in that journey, it's just like it snowballs. I think that's the only way to describe it. It kind of just snowballs. The more you do it, and the more what's the word? The more ham you go, like the more hard you go, the more you do, is the more you see it start to snowball and have a greater effect. So yeah, that's definitely something that I learned when I was in debt. Or so should I say something I wish I knew when I was in debt. And so the next one I've got is, okay, yeah, there's actually so many ways to increase your income. Like that is something I learned when we was on our debt-free journey, because before that, I never even really thought about the whole concept of having multiple streams of income. Like that wasn't even something that crossed my mind. I worked my 9 to 5 and that was it, kind of thing. I worked my job, I got my salary, and I used my salary to pay off my debt. I didn't even really think about the idea of the fact that I can be paid more than once a month, or I can make money in other ways, not just through my regular income stream, which was my employer. And it was only later on in life that it was only when we were on this debt-free journey and I was trying to aggressively pay down this debt, that it was like, okay, actually, let's think of more creative ways to make money. So even things like reselling things from around the house, doing these survey sites, my husband doing overtime, me doing people's hair, like we was doing all these different things to make extra income. And that's not even something I'd considered doing before we were on the debt-free journey. So before embarking on the journey, all we were doing was keeping up with all the minimum payments. But then after a while, it was like, actually, we want to get paid, we want to get out of debt quicker. So let's increase the amounts of payments we're making. And then if you want to increase that amounts of payments you're making and your income is only set at a certain level, in order to increase those payments, you're going to have to start getting creative and thinking of ways to make extra money. And that's something I didn't even think about or didn't consider before pursuing this debt-free journey. But that's definitely something that helped us a lot along the way and helped us to reach our debt-free goal a lot quicker. So yeah, that was definitely a great thing. Ella said, step change also helped me to get a portion of my debt written off by coming to an agreement. Oh my days. Yes, I've heard so many people say that, Ella. And that's what I was saying at the beginning about the fact that I wish I knew about charities like Step Change. I didn't even know that that could happen, that they could write off some of your debt. I just thought the amount you owe is the amount you pay. And that's literally what we did. We paid off every penny that we owed. But if I knew about these kind of services, maybe I wouldn't have paid back 36,000. Maybe it would have only been 30,000. Who knows? But yeah, like I said, you don't know what you don't know, in it. But at least now you guys know that these services are available, so that if you are in debt, exactly like what Ella just said, you can get them to help you. Well, not necessarily, it depends on who you owe money to and what the circumstances are, etc. But at least you know that that conversation can be started, and you've got somebody that's kind of championing. Is that word? Yeah, championing your case and kind of putting in a word for you and kind of helping fight your battle. So yeah, definitely Step Change. I can't recommend them enough, and I've put them in the description box actually, so you can have a look at their website and contact them if you require their services. Um, Next thing I've got on a list is, oh, okay, yes, this is a good one. So I'm reading over my own notes. I'm like, what did I write? Okay, so the next one I've got on the list is getting out of debt would only be possible if we made the effort. Again, kind of tying on to the point I made before about the whole side hustling and things like that. That was one thing that I really realized, is that it's our mess and we've made it and we have to do what we need to do to transform our finances. Like nobody's gonna do it for us. And that's something that I definitely learned. I should have put my phone on silent. That was such a schoolboy error. Sorry guys. That won't happen again. Yeah. And that's yeah, that's something I really wish I had learned, or something that I wish I knew when we were in debt, is that yeah, getting out of debt would be sorry, I got distracted by the notification, lost my train of thought. Yeah, no, that was it. Getting out of debt would only be possible if you made effort. Exactly. So it's only if you put in the effort and we kind of do the work required will we be able to reach that debt-free goal. And that's something I wish I knew when I was in debt, is that it's not going to be easy. Like I knew it wasn't going to be easy. Obviously, it's paying off a lot of debt, but I don't think I anticipated how hard it would actually be. Kind of facing that debt head on and taking those steps to be responsible for that, take ownership of it, and start proactively taking those steps to pay it off. But I don't think I anticipated or realized how hard it would actually be. That whole self-denial thing and not getting what you want when you want it, when the money's there. And when I say the money's there, the money wasn't there because we were in debt and we didn't have money. But you know, when you have access to money, you have a means to make something happen, and you're used to doing that over a sustained period of time. To now say to yourself, actually, no, I'm not going to go to that meal, or I'm not going to go to this friend's birthday, or I'm not going to buy that new dress, or all these things that you would ordinarily just kind of do and figure it out later on, having to then say to yourself, no, I'm not doing that, I'm not doing that. Yeah, I didn't realize how hard it would be, but it was definitely hard. But I'm definitely happy that we went through that experience, and I'm grateful for that experience because it definitely taught me a lot. And I've learned that I don't actually need as much as I thought I needed back then. Like, yeah, back then I just always thought I needed to buy stuff. Like I was that person. If I was going to a birthday dinner, I needed a new outfit. If I'm going here, I need something new. Like I can't wear the same thing twice. That was my mentality before. Whereas now, you probably see this jumper in so many videos. I wear it all the time, and I don't care. I spent money on it, so why can't I wear my jumper? And that's the mindset shift that has definitely taken place since becoming debt free. It's like, actually, I don't need all these new things like I thought I needed it. It doesn't make me any better or any less of a person if I don't have new stuff. So yeah, definitely learned a lot there. So I've just seen a couple of comments. Finance Joe said, do you think you should pay off higher amount or higher interest? I need to make a decision soon. Don't think I can do all of it at the same time. That's a great question, Joe. And from what I did on my own personal journey is I did the lowest amount debt first. So financially, it's not the best option, but for me, it was for us, it was the best option because it was easiest. Unfortunately, yeah. Oh, I think Ella was responding to something else. Yeah, so for me, we went with the lowest interest payment debt. No, sorry, no picture either. What's that, Ella? I'm sorry, I'm trying to understand what you're talking about. Oh, you can't hear me.